Let's see what we can do with these rocks. I originally planned for this to all be fairly dark, but as the painting develops, I think I'd like to add a little more light to the base of this tree. I'll describe it, or put it this way, you'll see it, you'll be able to see what I'm after. Once we're done playing here and we get on to squaring off the camera, and then I'll show you the whole canvas then, but for the moment we're just going to stick with this. I'll have to come up with some kind of a decent design here. Trying to avoid jumping into high values too quickly. Not loading my brush too heavily at all, really. Ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue and raw umber. Those are the toys we're using at the moment. No thinners, no mediums, just straight out of the tube. Especially because the paint that I'm using now is fairly runny stuff, and it's not, the opacity I'm not thrilled with. So I just gonna have to work with it. It's okay. We can do that. We have the technology. Okay. We're on the edge of things, so, we're on the edge of the painting, so I don't want high values right now. It's funny, you see the gray that I'm using right now, or it comes across as gray. The gray at the base of this tree is actually ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt sienna and white. So you can see it's a little bit warmer than this, but they look very, they look quite close. The value is a little darker on the rock, but I want to make sure that those two stay fairly distinct. Some of the dark paint I've put in here is pretty wet because I just put it in, so that's why I can't make really clean lines with it, because I'm actually technically painting some spots here wet in wet. shaping and imagining and hoping it turns out. I think that's actually more information, more busyness that I don't really need right there. So we're just going to do that. We'll take our little brush. I often keep this little brush loaded with dark color so that if I need to reinstitute a line, it's ready to go. I like to fix things as I go because it's easy enough to forget and do it later. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I should worry too much about a shady side and a light side for most of this. We'll keep these rocks flatter. I don't want them coming across and jutting down really too much. Again, you know, you're zoomed in with the camera right now so you can see within that space. It may not be the wisest decision, but taken in context of the entire painting, yes, simplicity. Simplicity. All right, a little more of that mix. Lightening it up a little bit. Um, all right. Just drop it slightly in value here. There's a sliver. There's a sliver I'd like to put in here. That's it. And dare I go higher value? Well, you know, the base of this tree it wouldn't hurt it to go higher in value. So if I'm going to do that, it means I should probably do it on the rocks as well a little bit. You know, I'll wipe the excess paint off my brush. I'll do that. And then I'll come back because, of course, I wasn't very careful. And then I'll do that. Okay, I'm honestly being a little bit silly now with my fussiness. That shape reminds me a little too much of that. I don't know if the colors are... colors might be a bit close. Plus it's a dollop of dark right below this trunk. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to play the eliminator. I'm going to eliminate this darkish looking bit of individuality. It must conform to the rest of the painting. And back to this brush. You know, I've heard the term plan like a tortoise, paint like a bunny. That's it's a good way of looking at it. It's a good way to try to do it, but things don't always work that way. And personally, although I like that notion, I end up needing to needing to revisit some of my earlier planning, because the painting as a whole develops, right? As you're going with it. And I give myself the freedom to think laterally, you know, like a goalkeeper in a soccer game. You don't know who's going to kick the goal, who's going to kick the ball at you. So you keep your eyes open, and then as the play changes, as they're coming down the field towards you, you say, okay, that's not coming from where I thought it was coming from. So I need to change my strategy a little bit. Now, of course, I'm the goalie and the kicker in this case. But still, malleability in thinking in your thinking is really quite important. I don't want to be so stubborn to say, oh, it has to turn out this way, it has to be this, it has to be that. Nah. Not going to do that. Boy, I am truly monkeying around here too much. Alright, let me stand up. Okay, please, can I stand up? I'll stand up. Okay, those are the basic shapes. Paint it in. Let me just do one thing. Put a little more light on that rock. Okay, stop it. Just stop it. Except for here. Let's back the camera up. Have a look at the hole, because I've also finished the trunks in the foreground. You know, at least they're in painted. They're painted in. Let me drop the whole painting. And back it out a little. Oh, you know what? Here. See this trunk? I made it a little more creamy and raised the value even more. Creamy because the bark is long gone. Mostly long gone. But there's still a bit of life in it because it's still going to have a couple of tufts of foliage. Those two. Right at the bottom. That's the plan anyway. And this one, yeah, it still needs a few touches. You know, I said yesterday that, oh, it might only need a stroke or two, and inevitably it needs a little more than that. I like this creamy trunk losing its light as it gets to the bottom. Stands out well against the distant high value yellow ochre there. Shapes. Shapes and shadows and highlights. Okay, Mr. Big Trunk. Where are you, Mr. Big Trunk? Come on, don't be shy. There you are. You're a good boy. Okay. We'll take you up this one. It's toned down. Its values are toned down. Yes, it's the closest trunk, but I did not want it competing with that bright foreground, so I tried to keep it fairly simple. There's a little more light on some areas than others. But that's what we have on that one so far. See the rendering of the paint due to the fact that it's a square brush, a larger square brush, not a huge, nothing large compared to what what you can use, but somewhat reasonable in size. And then this one, which is toned down, more raw umber on that one. Okay guys, whoops, now we'll back it up, give you a better look. Okay, and that is my playing so far. Hope your weekend is going well. We'll talk to you soon.